Ever since the housing market has crashed in 2008, people are waiting for another massive housing crash. Before 2008, prices have skyrocketed and turned into a bubble, which is why if you purchased a house between 2008 to 2010, you made one of the best investments ever. Recently, house prices have skyrocketed as well to levels where most people cannot possibly buy a house, which is why a lot of people are waiting for a housing crash. So the real question is, will house prices crash in 2026? The short answer is no. So here in this video, I will explain why it's impossible for house prices to crash in 2026, 2027, and 2028. If you look at house prices in early 2000s, you can see that house prices are rising faster than usual. They have turned into a bubble, and that presented people with a really great opportunity. But if you look at house prices in 2020, the increase in house prices was way bigger than early 2000s. So it's very normal to assume that house prices might actually collapse just like they did previously. At the end of the day, a house is one of the best investments you can possibly make. And most people aspire to buy a house one day. Even if you own a house, buying a house under market price is one of the best opportunities out there because you can rent it out. The value of the house is going to appreciate over time, and it's one of the investments that most people want to actually make. The 2008 housing crash is not unique. There has been multiple major crashes in the history of the United States. The first one was in 1837. The second one in 1926. Prior to the Great Depression of 1929, when the entire stock market has crashed, the housing market has crashed previously, and when the Great Depression happened, it basically worsened the 1926 housing crash, which is why it was also one of the major housing crashes in history. Another major crash was in 1989, and finally in 2008 that took down with it the rest of the global economy. To understand if there is going to be a crash in 2026 or 2027, you have to understand how bubbles are formed, why certain assets turn into a bubble, and why do they crash. So let's take an example on asset. An asset crashes when investors overpay for a specific asset, and then when they realize that they have overpaid, they will start massively selling that investment. And that's why whenever there is a bubble, you see that there is a huge increase in price drastically in a very short period of time, and suddenly prices collapse because this is the moment when investors have overpaid for that asset. This is the moment when they realize that it's time to sell, and this is the moment when everybody is massively selling, which is why the price of asset drastically collapses. But why that happens? Let's take an example of these AirPods. So let's assume that the price of these AirPods are $100. But investors for some reason believe that these AirPods are going to earn $150. Now there is a huge demand for these AirPods because they will make you a 50% return. Suddenly investors start paying off $110, $120, but then the expectations in the market suddenly change, and now investors think that these AirPods will actually generate $200. Because the expectations that the return on this investment is going to be $200, investors don't mind paying $150, $170, or $180 for it. Why? Because they're still turning a profit. Now imagine if the expectations of the market is going to change and suddenly we believe that these AirPods are going to generate $1,000. Now suddenly, from the perspective of an investor, it doesn't actually matter if I pay $500 for them because I will still be able to sell it for $1,000. But then when that happens throughout the entire market, what do you think early investors are going to do? The person who actually purchased it for $100. Now he looks at this investment and is like, oh, I can sell my $100 investment today for $500. So when I sell it for a $500, now there is more supply than demand. And that means that the price slightly starts going down. And because there was no reasonable justification for the price of AirPods, for example, to rise to $1,000, but rather it was basically an overhyped asset in the market, suddenly everybody is selling their AirPods, and that's why the price of the asset collapses. So when you look at why the housing market has collapsed in 2008, it wasn't because simply the banks started handing randomly to everybody mortgages so that the house prices exploded so fast, but rather banks would take these mortgages, turn them into mortgage-backed securities, and they will start selling them to investors. And investors saw them as great opportunities, which is why they started massively buying them. However, when they realized that the market is running out of really great mortgages, these banks basically would take a really great mortgage. A great mortgage is when it's loaned to somebody who can actually afford it. Somebody with a proper paycheck, with a proper job, a stable job, maybe some savings, and a house that holds its value. And then they would take that good mortgage, they will combine them with a really bad mortgage, a mortgage to somebody that cannot afford it. Maybe that person doesn't have a stable job, maybe that person doesn't have any kind of savings and has a really bad credit score. So they will combine them under one mortgage-backed security and they will sell them to investors because there was so much demand for these assets in the market, because investors on the other side wanted to make a lot of money. But they took it to a completely different level. They would even take really good mortgages and they will mix them together with really bad debt, such as credit card debt, and they will call them CDOs, collateralized debt obligations. And then they will give them a AAA rating and they will sell them to investors because everybody wanted to make money. Everybody thought that all these securities are being backed by houses and house prices are not going to collapse because they are being backed by a real asset, and there is always demand for houses, just like you who wants to always buy a house. These assets are not going to collapse anytime soon or anytime in the future, which is why they're really great, really good investments. On the other side, you had like insurance companies. They're like, wait a second, we want a piece of this pie. So why don't we sell you insurance on every single mortgage-backed security that you're actually selling? So they started massively selling insurances because they thought that these assets are being backed by a real house, by a real property. So when everybody in the market has overpaid for these mortgage-backed securities and CDOs, the collateralized debt obligations, early investors realized that, wait a second, these investments are not as safe as we thought. These investments are not going to rise as fast as we thought initially. So maybe it's time for us to start selling our investments. So when everybody started massively selling off their investments, the price of mortgage-backed securities collapsed, which is why the housing market completely collapsed. But the current market right now doesn't have a single sign of a bubble. Let's look at the first reason. First of all, there is 4 to 5 million homes shortages in the market. So basically, there is far more demand than supply. And as long as there is more demand than supply, then you cannot possibly expect the market to collapse. Because the moment somebody wants to sell their house, there is somebody who wants to buy that house, which means that it's impossible for the market to collapse. Since the 2008 financial crisis, building houses becomes unprofitable business. So if you're a developer that is building houses, and now when you're building houses, you're not making a profit on the houses that you're building, what do? You close down your business. Why would you spend so much of your money, time, and resources building houses when you're not going to make a profit on that investment? So after the 2008 financial crisis, a lot of developers went out of business, or they simply closed their businesses because it was no longer a profitable business. Then the pandemic of 2020 happened, and that disrupted the global supply chains. You could not possibly bring materials from outside the United States to build your houses. The cost of materials instantly increased, which means that now it's a lot more expensive to build houses, which means that it is a lot less profitable, which is why so many developers did not actually build so many houses. And since 2020, there is so much instability in the world that we haven't actually fully recovered the global supply chains since the pandemic of 2020. Now, the second reason is that houses that have been purchased back in 2020 and 2021 were with a mortgage that were less than 3%. Now, new mortgages offer you a 6% or a higher rate. What does that mean? Even though, let's say that I bought a house for $1 million and I have overpaid for this house by 10%, or let's say 15%, I could have purchased that house for $850 or $850,000. But my mortgage rate is 3%. If I'm going to sell my house right now for $1 million and I will get another house, which means that now I will get a mortgage that is at 6% or 6.5%, eventually I will end up paying far more for the second house than my previous house simply because the mortgage rate is now double or maybe even triple. So most people who purchased their houses in 2020 and 2021 are not going to sell their houses because it is going to be far more expensive for them to buy a house even if they sell their house at a profit. They know that they will simply pay that profit by paying a higher mortgage rate for the next house that they will buy. The third reason is that the bubble cannot possibly burst because we don't have investors who are massively selling off the mortgage-backed securities. Now let me ask you a question. Why do you think mortgage rates were so low back in 2020 and 2021? That's because the Federal Reserve, which is the bank for banks in the United States, started massively buying mortgage-backed securities. And where do you think the Fed gets the money from? It prints that money. So the Federal Reserve is not in the business of making a profit. They don't care about the profit. Their job is to stabilize the market. So let's say that all these mortgage-backed securities that the Federal Reserve has purchased are unprofitable. Do you think the Fed is going to sell them? Well, of course not. The job of the Fed is to stabilize the market, but not to make a profit, which is why the Fed is now sitting on more than $2 trillion of mortgage-backed securities, and they don't intend to sell them. So if the Fed is not selling them, then how can you expect the market to crash when there isn't massive sell-off by investors? So the biggest loser out of this deal is the Federal Reserve, of course, but they don't care about that because they can print as much money as they want. And finally, or the final reason, is that the United States is facing the greatest challenge since 1945. So the war with Iran is the biggest war the United States is going to handle since 1945. And this war can essentially break the entire US economy. And we don't know for a fact the full consequences of this war. That means that gas prices are rising, prices of everything is going to eventually rise because energy prices are rising, and that creates this fog of war. It creates this instability. So let me ask you a question. When there is instability, are you more likely to take risks or you're less likely to take risks? Well, of course, you're less likely. Your house might not be the best investment out there, but at least it offers you a roof over your head. So if something is going to happen, you still have a roof over your head. You still have a house. You are not going to become homeless. So because there is so much instability and unpredictability is waiting for us, most people will less likely move out of their house and sell their house. So what is the conclusion? Will house prices stop rising this fast? Most likely, because there isn't a strong demand in the market to drive house prices to keep rising. But at the same time, expecting that the market is going to collapse when there is clearly not a single bubble, when people are not interested in selling their houses, when the Federal Reserve holds all of these mortgage-backed securities and it does not intend to sell them, it is foolish to assume that the market is going to collapse, even though that there was a huge spike in prices between 2020 and 2021. And the reason that prices are not going to rise that fast, because interest rates are going to continue rising, which means higher mortgage rates, which means lower demand to buy houses. So a crash is impossible, but a slowdown in prices is already happening. But if you want to buy a house and you don't know how to save for that house because prices are rising and the value of your savings is evaporating day by day because there is so much inflation, here is a much better strategy for you. Instead of trying to buy a house that you cannot afford today, start investing in assets. While you're saving for your money, while you're saving for that house, the value of your savings are increasing day by day because they're being invested in the right assets that grow every single year. And before you know it, your investments have grown so much that you can use those investments as a down payment. Or maybe you can sell these investments and instantly buy a house. And when you're investing in the stock market, you can start literally today with as little as $1. So if you want a step-by-step strategy on how you can start investing in the stock market, if you want to know which stocks am I buying in the stock market and what is my investing strategy and how do you actually massively profit from this war that is happening, so you're going to use this war with Iran as an opportunity to build your investment portfolio to get to financial freedom, then check out the Investing Academy. The link is in the description of this video.